Hello and welcome to the Anaplan platform release. I'm your host, Gwen Pryor, and today we'll be listening to the new products we're releasing. First, we'll have Steve Prendergast, product manager at Anaplan, talk about Quick Filter. Then we'll have Rob Kingscott from product manager, also at Anaplan, talk about the new Excel add-in. So Steve, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Gwen. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. So I'm going to start off by talking about a new feature that we've got coming out next week, which we're calling the Quick Filter. Just before I jump into that, first of all, I'm just going to flash up the disclaimer. We don't anticipate any changes based on the current plan, but unforeseen things can happen. So just a brief disclaimer there to show at the start. Before I get started, I wanted to talk about the wider strategy around the end user experience that we're working on here on the product. So we basically have this split into three areas. So the first of these is the experience through the web browser. So this is the main interaction with Anaplan through the desktop. So we're doing a large investment in this area at the minute as part of the new user experience, which hopefully many of you will have heard about by now. So this is currently in beta, and there'll be a lot more information around this, and then the opportunity to try it out and build out some pages in the upcoming Connected Planning Experience event we have in a few weeks' time. So that's the web browser part. We also have our Office extensions, so mainly Excel and PowerPoint, and later on in this call there'll be an update on the latest release of Excel. And then finally, we're also developing a mobile app. So this will effectively sit on top of the new user experience. And again, there'll be more information shared around this in the upcoming CPX event. So in terms of the web browser experience, we basically have this split into three areas. So the first is improvements to the current user experience. So this is mainly the main interaction of end users with Anaplan, and that's through the dashboards. So we do have some incremental improvements we're doing on here. So one in particular is the Quick Filter, which I'm going to talk about today. But as we move forwards, the majority of our investment is going to be in the new user experience. And we also have an ongoing program around workflow, which is currently in early access as well. Okay, so I'm now going to start with the main feature that we're covering today, and that is the Quick Filter. So the Quick Filter, it's a new filter concept that we're adding to dashboard grids. So the idea is it's a really easy to use and intuitive filter targeting end users. So it doesn't offer all the flexibility and the power of the standard filter, i.e. all the multi-dimensionality that involves, because end users can find this intimidating. So this is a very simple, easy to use quick filter. As part of that, we're also adding some common filter shortcuts that people often do. For example, show zeros, hide zeros, show blanks, or hide blanks. And then we're also adding some iconography. So when you do have a filter applied to a particular column, you'll be able to see which column has that filter applied. So the quick filter is also a different level of filtering. So we're offering a kind of two-tier level of filtering. So you could have the standard filter, which is the filter which is available today, which could be built out by the model builder. And then you could have the quick filter, which end users would use, and that would sit on top of the existing standard filter. So also as part of the quick filter, we're adding a filter overview. So this will give you a simple summary of all the filters or all the quick filters that are applied to that particular grid. So you can see, for example, we've got a filter applied to the contract bookings column here and the service contracts. Okay, so I'm now going to demo it so you've got an idea of what that looks like within Anaplan. So here I have a grid on a dashboard which has a set of accounts, and I've got a set of line items on the top showing my segment, industry, prior year sales, target, etc. So the first thing I want to do is I want to filter down my accounts, so I'm only interested in the segment that applies to enterprise and small medium business. So you'll notice the quick access toolbar, rather than the single filter icon, it's now got a split button. So I can just simply click the filter part of that, and then the quick filter will basically appear for that particular column. So I'm interested in enterprise and small medium business. So I apply that particular quick filter, and you can see my data is now filtered down, and I've got the icon to say that that column has a filter applied. I can then select the industry column, but this time I'm going to use the drop down. So here you can see I've got a number of different options I can do as part of that filter. So in this case, I'm going to hide the blanks. So I've now filtered it down to all the industry column that is populated with data. I then want to go to the prior year sales. So again, I'm going to click the icon, and I'm interested in prior year sales that are greater than 100,000. And I can apply that. And I'm interested in where the target percentage, and I'm going to hide the zeros. So I've quickly applied 4 filters or 4 quick filters to my grid, and then I can look at the overview of that by looking at the filter overview. And there I can see a summary of all the filters that I have applied to that particular grid. So as you can see, very easy to use and very intuitive and very much targeted at the end user. I can also, if I want to, remove an individual quick filter. So I can remove that from the percentage target, or I can, if I want to, clear all the quick filters that I've applied and then start again. The quick filter is available via the quick access toolbar. It's also available via the context menu and via the blue dot menu as well. You can see that there. So as well as the quick filter, I've also got the ability to continue to use the standard filter. So if I select region, I can choose filter down the bottom here, and that will open up the standard filter dialog. So in this case, I only want to see accounts in the EMEA region. So I can apply that, and that will filter my data set down to the EMEA region. So if I now save this dashboard, I can, if I want to, go into the design mode, and I can choose to switch off the filtering. So this is all existing functionality that we have today. So I choose to switch off the filtering, but this will switch off the standard filter only. It won't switch off the quick filter. So if I now go back and I select a column and I choose the drop down for the filtering, you can see that the option to open up the standard filter is no longer available. So I've effectively, as the model builder who has access to the dashboard designer, I've applied a standard filter, and then I've removed access to that so the end users can do their quick filtering on top of that without removing the standard filter, so they can see all the accounts in America, etc. Okay, I just want to mention, I'm going to carry on with the demo here, but if there are any questions that anyone has, if you put them into the chat there, I'm happy to answer them as we go through the presentation. Okay, so some other things to be aware of. If the quick filters, they always are set to the current page, but they will be removed on pivot. So if I pivot this particular view, so I move my line items down to accounts, you'll see that all the quick filters have been removed. So they're very much for that particular view you have prior to any pivoting. Also, if I choose to apply the quick filter to the column now, which has my accounts and rows as line items, when I choose to do the quick filter, it will say the quick filter is not supported. That's because it's not supported on line items, because line items can potentially be different data types. So it's unsure which quick filter to use to apply. You can, of course, if the standard filter is switched on, open up the standard filter and then filter in the standard way. So I'm just going to pivot that back. So line items back up to columns. And then just to run through it again. So I'm going to choose to see my enterprise and small medium business accounts. And I'm interested in prior sales that are greater than 100,000. So I've applied my 2 quick filters, and then I can see the overview in the quick filter overview. Okay, so that's a quick demonstration of how the quick filter works. There are a few things to be aware. Some of them I mentioned in the demo, but I'll just cover them over again just so you're aware what's coming with this new feature. So only quick filters will appear in the filter overview. So quick filters are not shown in the current filter dialog, so the standard filter dialog. All quick filters will be removed on pivot. The filter icon is only valid for quick filters, so it won't appear for standard filters. Only a single quick filter can be applied to each column. So because of this, we've added a between operator, which I didn't show in the demo there. I can quickly jump into that and show you that. So in the quick filter, because you can only add one filter per column, we've added a between operator so that you can now get a range of numbers, which of course previously would have required multiple filters. So only a single filter can be applied to each column. A between operator has been added. Quick filters are always ANDed. So very much like Excel, when you keep applying the filters as the default there, they are ANDed. Quick filters are always enabled. So you can turn off the standard filtering, but the quick filter will always be enabled. So users will always have that filtering capability available. You can access the quick filter via the toolbar, the right click menu, or the blue dot menu. And then the final point to be aware of, we do have something today called the list filter. On dashboards, that will effectively be replaced by the new quick filter, but obviously the quick filter offers you to filter on any data type rather than just lists. Any existing list filter will now move to a standard filter, so it will be available in the standard filter. It will no longer be available as a list filter. So if you do want it as a quick filter, you'd need to remove it from the standard filter and then recreate it as a quick filter. Okay, I'm just going to pause there briefly before I move on to another enhancement and see if there's any questions. Gwen, have we had any questions in the chat
We have
at all?
quite a few questions, so we'll just go to them. The first question, any update on being able to change fonts and colors within the new user experience? So kind of unrelated, but
Okay, so I don't have any updates on that at the minute. Unfortunately, we are reviewing all the feedback we're getting on the user experience, but I don't have any update on that particular topic at the minute.
next question, has zero suppression across columns been simplified?
Has zero suppression across columns been simplified? I'm not sure. It's been simplified in terms of the quick filter is simplified because it always takes account of the current page, so it removes all the complexity of the multi-dimensionality. So the hide zeros will only apply to that particular column. It won't apply across all columns.
Okay, great, thank you. How does this quick filter do time WART to the usual filter? The usual filter takes a lot of time if the module is large.
So the quick filter, it uses the same back-end mechanism as the existing filter. We did do some work on the previous release to improve filtering performance. So hopefully some customers have been aware of that performance increase. We have seen on some of the data in the logs that we've got through that there have been some improvements in different areas. But in terms of the performance, it would be the same as existing filtering. So on very large modules, it still may take a while to run.
Great. Is there a single area to manage all filters?
There isn't a single area to manage all filters. No, there is two different areas for the two different types of filtering. So there will be the quick filter and then the standard filter. It would be great if it was. I know it's something we can look at in the future, but that's something we're more likely to invest in terms of the new user experience rather than redo what we currently have on dashboards. So currently you need to manage them in separate places.
Okay.
But that does give you the flexibility of switching one off so that end users only have access to the quick filter, for example.
If a new account for EMEA is added to data, will it automatically appear or will filter have to be refreshed?
The filter will need to be refreshed for it to appear. So that would work like adding in a new data item today. I think I possibly need to try it, but I think that's how it would work.
Great. Are list filters still available?
So the list filter will still be available in modules, but the quick filter effectively performs exactly the same functionality as the existing list filter. So these, for example, are lists. So when I open up the quick filter, it's the same where you select basically the data that is in it that you want to see in the filter. Any existing list filters that are in existence though will move to the standard filter dialog, so you'll have to remove them from the standard filter and add it as a quick filter.
Great. Next question is the new filter icon applicable only to columns having quick filters applied and not if a standard filter is applied to a column?
So correct, the icon only applies for quick filters. It does apply to rows as well. So if you did want to do a filter on a row, although that's unusual, then you'd see an icon on the row as well. But it is only for the quick filters, correct?
Great. Um, um, when is the quick filter going to be released?
So the target date for release is Tuesday, the 7th of May. So that's the Tuesday next week. So you should still see that start to come online. It's a no downtime release. So we've released all the code and everything is in place already. We actually have had the quick filter in early access for a few months now. So we have a number of customers using it already, and feedback has been really positive, both from the model builders that we talk to and the feedback they've had from their end users. So it's been a great usability improvement to dashboards, which people have appreciated.
Is quick filter available on rows, i.e. zero suppressed rows with all zero columns?
Yes, it is available on rows. So if I pivot my line items over to rows, so say I want to do percentage target, so I can select my row and I can do a hide zeros. That's now applied that filter to that row as well. So hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, you can apply a quick filter to a row as well as to a column, providing that the opposite axis isn't a line item.
Do we expect further updates to filters in general, such as dynamic/rolling time filters going forward?
We don't anticipate doing any significant changes to existing filters on dashboards. However, as part of the new user experience, we are doing a lot of work on filtering, including we want to add the ability to filter the row label itself as well. So for example, if I wanted to filter the actual accounts column, so that's won't be available in the initial version, but that's something we want to add to be able to filter on the row label, so the first column as well as the other columns. But we don't anticipate any significant improvements to existing filtering on dashboards.
How can you manage filters to keep parents after filtering?
So currently it filters the item that are there. So I guess you'd have to look at other workarounds for that, I guess, looking at other properties maybe on the list if you're filtering. Not sure.
Okay.
I know, yeah, there's probably various workarounds for that one, but there's no new functionality here that should make that any easier that I'm aware of.
Okay, and the last question is from a new user. They just want to know the difference between quick filter and standard filter. They feel like they may have missed that.
So the main difference is the standard filter allows you to use the power of the multi-dimensionality with Anaplan. So you could say, you want to apply this filter, but based on any dimension. So for example, if you had, say in this example, your accounts by your line items, if I pivot it back round, and then you had something like a region or a location or some other thing as a page selector at the top, you could apply a different filter relevant to that different page selector, or you could also filter on a line item in another module. So there's a lot of power and flexibility there, but it also can be quite complicated. So the idea of the quick filter is it takes away all that complexity. So very much like someone using Excel, you can only filter the 2D table that you can see in front of you.
Great, thank you. If you have more questions for Steve, submit them in the chat box, and if we can't get back to them today in the webinar, we'll make sure to respond in email after. So next,
Okay,
we're going to start with
yeah.
Bob.
Just before that, I've got one other smaller usability enhancement that I want to talk about that also will be included in the release alongside the quick filter, and that's a usability improvement to sorting. So at the moment you have the sort dialog which you need to click, and then it opens up a sort modal where you can choose to sort ascending or sort descending, but we've added some quick menu options to the context menu so you can easily apply that particular sort that you want of ascending or descending. And then as with the filter, we have some iconography so you can see where the sort has been applied. So for example, if I choose prior year sales, I can now right click, and under the sort I now have this sort ascending, sort descending. So I can choose sort descending. As you expect, my higher values at the top, and then they go down to my lower values. You can also then apply you can also change the sorts rather. So if I want to now sort on the target column, and then I can choose to sort descending, this will remove the sort from the initial column and then reapply it to the new column. So previously you had to manually remove the sort before adding the new one, which could cause confusion. But now with these new menu shortcuts, it will remove the old one and then apply the new one. The sort modal that we have remains exactly the same as it does today. So that was the demo of the sort stuff. So basically, to summarize, there's the quick filter, which we saw as a demo there, and some sort updates. I don't know if there's any questions, Gwen, on the sort side of things. If not, we can move over to the Excel update.
Yes. So one question, so you can't nest sorts, is the question.
So you can't do, so there's no change to the existing sort functionality. All this does is it allows you a quicker way to access the sort, and it removes a previous sort and then adds the new one, whereas previously you had to do that manually.
Can we expect a multi-sort functionality like in Excel pivot tables in future releases?
So yeah, longer term, that's something we would like to support, and there's nothing in the near term to support that, but that's something, you know, as we evolve the new user experience, that's something we absolutely want to add, and it's a requirement that we do hear loud and clear from our customers.
Are multiple sorts in the pipeline?
So I think that's the same as the one I just answered. So again, there's nothing planned in the near term, but it is something that we would like to support in the future.
Okay, that is all for now regarding sorting. But if you think of another question for Steve, please again put it in the question box, and we'll hopefully get to it at the end of the webinar or in response form later.
Hello, my name is Rob Kingskip. I'm the product manager for the Office integrations, which covers the PowerPoint add-in and the Excel add-in. And today I'm going to be taking you through a overview of the new Excel add-in. The Excel add-in plays a very important role in the analysis phase of the planning cycle by enabling the analyst persona, who we'll go through in a second, to perform ad hoc analysis on Anaplan data in Excel to help better inform decision makers so they can drive their business with more informed business decisions. This is Anthony. Anthony and his role of informing Danielle, the decision maker, are our key focus for the Excel add-in. And the reasons being is he is able to use the add-in to identify reasons for change, give an overview and respond to questions on performance and easily capture outputs for Danielle to consume, and so he makes the primary persona that we are focusing on for the Excel add-in. The Excel add-in is very simple to install and enables very performant extracts of your Anaplan data and can run in parallel to the old version. Personas like Anthony can benefit greatly from the fast access to their data, with this latest version being up to 8 times faster than our previous version. It empowers the end user to define the data they need directly within Excel without the need of support from a model builder, and it is all completed within a very familiar UI. It's worth mentioning that we still have a version 2.6 in market, with the objective being to deliver feature parity with 2.6 in the new version 3 series, so that we are able to start moving everyone from the old version 2 add-in to the new version 3 series. But more information will be available on that in the coming releases. The two key items remaining for the version 3 series are the ability to extract saved views and the ability to write back data from Excel into Anaplan, both of which are in the pipeline, but more on that in future releases. To get hold of the add-in, you can simply go to Anapedia and download it. Once you have it, you can install it or get your IT team to install it and log in and connect to Anaplan. It is worth noting that if you are watching this and you currently have the version 3 of the add-in installed, you must make sure you uninstall version 3 before installing version 3.1. There is more information available on that on the Anapedia site. There is no additional pricing associated. It is available to anyone with a subscription. And on that, I'm now going to take you through a quick demo of the new functionality. So here I'm jumping into an existing worksheet, and it is backwards compatible, so version 3 workbooks work with version 3.1, and I'm going to start by showing you the refresh workbook interface. We've made updates to this interface so it's very clear and transparent what is going on where, so the customers, or users rather, are informed contextually on the refresh action as it takes place. As you can see, that was very clear. The other item, just for this last refresh in Anaplan, I've gone in and added 2 additional list items. I will now refresh this, and you will see our new refresh report demonstrated, which allows customers to be able to see what has changed within Anaplan and how it will impact the data they have within Excel. So these 2 new items have been added into product. If I close that and I go to my sales forecast tab, I can see that my 2 new items, gingerbread and Jaffa cakes, have been added in. This is a configurable setting, and if it is turned off, then the items will be available in Pivot and Filter, just unselected. So now I'm going to demonstrate the toolbar now maintains your selection, but I want to demonstrate a couple other features whilst you see that taking place. I'm going to jump in to see my time dimension and add in FY15. This will very quickly find where to insert it in the sheet and do so. You can also see that Russia has been maintained. Now, I can quickly see that quarter levels has really thrown off my graph, so without having to go back into Pivot and Filter, I can just delete them from the table, and if I jump back into Pivot and Filter, you'll see that these items have also been unselected from my filter. This is the beginning of a step to break down the barrier between Excel and the add-in, so it's more intuitive and efficient to interact with Anaplan data within the Excel add-in. So now I want to talk to you about how we are enabling our users to define how they want the add-in to operate, and we've done this with the introduction of a settings section. So for this next piece, I want to remove and apply Anaplan styling, and I also want to remove the display connection description. So I've hit OK. If I refresh now, the connection details will disappear. But if I need that information, I can see that from the hover over that is now available in the toolbar. As Anthony, the analyst, I want to customize my output so I can distribute it to Danielle. I can now remove my borders, and I can set the colors and formatting to how I require it from a cell color perspective. I can also change my font to any desired font I require. I want to make totals a bit bigger, and I want this sheet to be the Russia sales forecast. So now once I have the display that Danielle, my decision maker, is used to, I can very quickly jump into the Anaplan tab, hit clone connection, so that will take all the information in this sheet, including my graphs and the Anaplan connection, and clone it, so you can now see two sheets at the bottom. And I can change this to Amir, hit refresh, that will update. And by updating the sheet name, my document is now ready to be shared with Danielle as she expects it. So you can see from this very brief demo that we've really been focusing on how to enable the analysts to be more efficient and more capable within the add-in, and having done so by really polishing the performance of a lot of our functionality. The main item being that this version is up to 8 times faster than version 3. So you can really enable Anthony the analyst to be even more efficient within the add-in. So that's my brief demo. Just to give you an idea of the feedback that we had during our beta, the intentions are being met with the intuitive design, the more dynamic interaction, and the increased flexibility. So I hope you enjoy the new Excel add-in, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.
Sorry, it seems like there was some audio issues if you're experiencing it. We will make sure that to send out a recording of the webinar. So if you experience any audio issues, you won't see those in the recording. So you'll be able to catch any updates. If you have questions for Rob, please submit them in the chat. As he's not here right now, we'll have to respond back an email later for questions. But we're happy to take them now if you have any questions about Excel add-in. I'm going to keep running the webinar for now to allow people to submit questions. And then if you have any additional questions for Steve, please continue to submit them and we'll make sure to get back to them. But again, apologize. We'll make the slides from Rob's presentation and the Excel add-in video available after the webinar due to the sound issues. So we really appreciate you for coming and participating and asking questions. And we hope to be able to answer any additional Excel add-in questions shortly. Just looking now. Great. It looks like some people are submitting Excel add-in questions. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining the webinar, and I'm going to keep it running to allow further people to submit questions. But thank you so much, and for the rest of you, if you don't have a question, we hope to see you soon at the next webinar release. Have a great day.